Hello everyone, welcome back to Command Wolf Gaming. I'm CWG, and welcome to PAX Day 3 of the PAX 2024. Now, today, if you look outside, in fact, I'm going to flip the camera around so you can see this, we have a beautiful day here in Boston. Yes, the rain is quite beautiful, the wind is quite beautiful, and it's freezing cold. Just Boston weather for you. In all honesty, it is actually quite wet outside. I had water trickling into my jacket. Not a very pleasant experience, but you know, that's what it comes down to when you're going to a convention center and trying to enjoy yourself. Now, I do have a couple things on my schedule for today, so we'll be covering that, or at least going over that and maybe doing some interviews in regards to the games. So I hope you guys enjoyed today's PAX East Day 3 2024, and I'll see you at the next piece. See you there.
Hello, my Wolf Pack. Welcome back to Command Wolf Gaming. I'm CWG, and we are here with Outwards 2's developer. Nice to meet you. How's it going?
Doing great, and you?
I'm doing good myself. Are you enjoying PAX East 2024?
Very much so. It's my crowd. It's my crowd. I think the slogan "Welcome Home" has been true for me at least.
Well, that's good. I'm hoping you really are enjoying it. And were you here or when you published Outward, the first one?
So we've showcased Outward in 2015.
Okay.
And then once again when it had just released in 2019.
Okay. So you are here before, so
Yes, it's my 5th time showcasing a game at PAX.
All right. Well, congratulations on that. So let's talk about Outward 2. Now,
yes.
From a new player's perspective, I did enjoy the RPG kind of aspect to it. I did know a couple of things. I know this game is in pre-alpha, so I did want to talk about those, but I also want to hear more about the story behind Outward 2. So if you don't mind, I would like to go into like a couple of things that I would would like to see improvement on in the later game betas and stuff like that, and take it as, you know, a grain of salt. One person out of millions of people who played your original game.
You go ahead.
So I noticed that I was playing keyboard and mouse. You obviously had the controls set up for the controller itself. I'm sure you're probably going to address that later on to make sure that it's reading the right whatever input you're using, the keyboard or the controller. Another thing that I did notice is that you had to direct me to where the fire source is, the fire jets. And I wouldn't have known that otherwise. Like the first time around and I died, I actually had, I didn't know they were there because it just didn't dawn on me that they were there. So then I spent a little bit of time like looking at every scene.
Yeah, that's correct. The worst aspect really is just on the demo, we don't have a notification just saying you need a Firestone to cast this spell, which is something we had in the first one, just we didn't have the time to implement. Like you would have known to look for a Firestone if you had tried to use a spell and didn't have one. Oh, well, I'm just going to look around. So it's more like incentivizing exploration and just inviting people to try and to do so.
Now, key note on that is that I know you had it in like a set of jars, and again, I never played out the original Outward. I did take a look at Outward 2, so I watched the jars and think, hey, this is fun, this looks interesting, I want to play it. And it would probably be maybe for the people who are not walking into this fresh, like with fresh pair of eyes, to be like have like a magic stand there, like something that looks magical, and it's just like, oh, jars next to the stand, that's gonna have something, you know?
Of course.
So just kind of like a key figure, so that if you see these jars, it's essentially something that's magical.
Well, it's not necessarily that every jar contains always Firestones. Like this is just one of the assets of multiple junk piles we can find that could have like a plethora of things. It's just for the sake of the demo, we just wanted to show that, like, look around, find things, and you're going to be rewarded. Like, the demo is just rewarding people who want to try a bit of everything to get the sense of how it works.
Well, and that's great. That's fantastic. I do like to try every single little thing. I'm trying different weapons, and I know we talked about having a dummy try the different weapons. So that was a major thing. Now, one of the other aspects that kind of bothered me just a tiny bit was that you had all the collectibles sitting on the table in the tutorial section. I'm not sure if you're going to keep that in game or if you're going to put it in the chest or like make it more convenient to pick it up. Because it seemed like, oh, did I get everything? And I kept on hitting, collect. And like, I don't know if I got everything. I'm just going to go walk away and hopefully I have it. So, and that's my own personal thing. Like, I like to collect everything. I'm a hoarder. Like,
and that's something that can be really hard in the game. In Outward, one thing that we didn't have is just the inventory capacity system was not in the demo yet. But usually what you do is you have a backpack, and the backpack contains like most of your stuff because your pocket inventory is very limited. Now you had no limitations, but being a hoarder in Outward is very painful because even with a backpack, you can take way less stuff than you could in everyday's RPG.
I go by Fallout and Skyrim standards. I just grab everything because I have no idea what I'm going to need, what I'm going to use.
So we want to try to kind of give options for if you want to have more inventory capacity, like a bigger backpack that comes with more drawbacks, or maybe one thing we're adding to Outward 2 is a pack mule. So if you really want to collect everything, you leave your pack, your pack mule at the entrance of the dungeon. You go in with your backpack, you loot everything, bring it to your mule, and then you can kind of transport things and have to handle all the logistics of it. Some people will find it tedious, others will find it immersive, and it's kind of like, to me, it's always been like, I love the Elder Scrolls series, but there's something really weird about like being able to pick up like 5 full plate armors and just they magically are on my person at any time.
It's just something.
It's just something we want to clash with. Like Outward is about being more realistic, more immersive, and try to make you think like a person would, rather than how the mechanics are just working and just doing everything you want for them.
Exactly. So, like, I do chide some games. I'm like, well, this is not realistic. This doesn't make sense. And so that is actually something that I do kind of like about that game, because, like you're saying, it's limited inventory. And where you're going to end up having a backpack. That backpack's going to be the same thing. I'm carrying around a backpack right now to Pax East, so I'm like, I only got a certain amount of room. I can only carry so much. So, and too small, not enough space, too big, I start bumping into people.
But the smaller one allows it to be more nimble. The bigger one is impeding on your dodging animation.
Exactly. So now you witnessed it at the same time I did. We ended up running into a little glitch going into the hive, where I couldn't swing my weapon, whatever. I could move.
Yeah, that's bad. That's really bad.
That's woo. Well, I don't know what happened there. I'm sure you're gonna get that all.
Oh yeah, that's pre-alpha, of course.
Of course, it's obviously this is all pre-alpha. We're gonna see it later on, and hopefully, all those are gonna get fixed, patched out. Obviously, you got the alpha, you got the betas, you got early access. It's all going to get kicked out, And obviously, there's always going to be an issue later on that.
Oh yeah, especially when it's important.
So those are the only couple things that I saw that are like major issues. Another thing I did see is like my health went down pretty dang fast.
Yes.
So, and I'm sure that's because of the armor that I was wearing. I was wearing rags. And I was like, well, I'm gonna die again.
So this is something that cannot change. Like Outward is meant to be very brutal. It's meant to make you feel like you're not a dragonborn. You're not a child from prophecy. You're a random dude. And
you're a random dude going on an adventure.
Yeah, exactly. And so we just want to make you careful, make you feel threatened. And then like when you do win, it's because you made like few mistakes, or because you were like wearing a very heavy set of armor. But like everything that helps also comes with a drawback. And it's essential to the vision of the game.
And what one of the aspects I do like about your game is that like we were talking about a backpack situation. You directed me towards that I can actually recycle my material. If I'm not going to use that chest armor or whatever, I can reutilize resources from it and put it towards something else. Now, I did run into a little bit of a bug with that as well. The last bug that I noticed, that I removed my cap, gloves, shirt, and I was like, let me put this into bandages, and I couldn't recycle it. It wasn't allowing me to recycle it. Yeah. So not
We'll
sure.
have to look into that for sure.
Yeah, obviously, again, but going away from that, obviously, I made a lot of notes, but these are all things because in the pre-alpha, we have no idea like how it's going to work when you get to alpha, beta. It's always going to happen, even in AAA games.
Of course,
there's always going to be a major issue with that stuff. So let's talk about the game itself. So who are you, and where are you? Like, what are you doing specifically? Are you looking for something, or are you just kind of exploring around?
So the story is a continuation of the lore of the first one. It happens 50 years later in a world called Ori. And who you are is for you to choose. There's a much more fleshed out character creation than there was in Outward One, in which you not only choose your appearance, but you also make some traits decision that will inform on like who you are, and it will affect a bit of your stats. Because the game is meant to be very replayable, and so having a fleshed out character creator just makes it more exciting every time you start a new.
Kind of like how Mass Effect allows you to kind of choose your own class, choose your own path, and
so
do this or that.
You do not choose a class in Outward. The way it works is that you meet with trainers and you pay them for training, and there are a limited resource called breakthrough points, and they allow you to access the second half of a skill tree from a trainer. But you only have a limited amount, so you have like 3 breakthroughs in total you can get in a playthrough. So you end up mission mashing 3 different classes together to make your build.
So you can, so you're building your own class. Essentially, you can be like, I want to be a wizard with a sword. You can do that. Obviously, I was doing that. I was like, okay, I'm going to cast fireball. I'm going to hold this sword though because these guys get way too close. So, and again, it was very enjoyable for me. I could see myself playing this, if not streaming it when it does come out. And I hope that when it does come out, I do have that time to sit down and like I really want to see it evolve from where it is at right now, from the pre-alpha state to a finished product.
I think to get a very good sense of where it's going, I'd say you can play the first one to have an idea, because and that's one thing we wanted to make clear with a demo is like to really say this is still Outward, because a lot of sequels they change in a way that's too transformative. To me, a good sequel is more and better. The vision should stay the same, unless, of course, like the world doesn't allow to keep things as they are. But the way we left it down, it was still like very much the world's still going to be hostile, still going to be difficult, and like this idea that for once in an RPG you're not so special, you're just a regular person. It has to stay. It has to, and people have been worried, like, will we make it more mainstream? Are we going for like trying to please everybody? We definitely are not doing that. We want to stick to that brutality. We want to stick to like not holding your hand and just letting people figure it out. And there's gonna be people who will hate it still. Like if you didn't like the one, you might not like the second one. I'm okay with that. We want to serve that audience first.
Let them piece together their own story while they're playing the game.
Exactly.
So it's up to each individual player. Now, I never played the original Outward, but for those people that actually played the original Outward, are we going to see a lot of enemies from the original game come back?
Well, you were fighting the monsters like with bees, and those were from the originals. We call them the walking heights. But the Nefer, the big boar, that one is entirely new. So we've got like a healthy mix of familiarity and novelty, because it has to still feel like the same world. But if it's exactly the same, why would you just play it rather than just live with your memories?
Exactly. So, do you guys have any roadmap on when you're going to be going from pre-alpha to alpha to beta to? Or is it just kind of like
internally we do, but we try to not commit to any date. Simply because as a studio, as a company, we are really against crunch. It's just video games. You're not supposed to be like doing overtime and rushing and feeling so pressured. Just take your time and do the job right. So
it's more like a mercurial liquid type of state. It's flexible. that, okay, we have this date, but if we don't make it,
Yeah,
don't
and
worry about
if we don't announce it, we're not disappointing anyone, right?
Exactly.
And what we can say is we've announced 3 games.
Yeah.
And like there's Lost in Prayer that's going to come up first, and then it's going to be With a Bullet release, and then after that Outward. So
Okay.
it does indicate that it's quite a way
Okay.
before we get there.
All right. Well, that is fantastic. So I'm sure that when you guys do have a release date, or alpha or beta or whatever, you'll have a lot of people that play the original Outward game coming and diving right into the game. And I'm sure a lot of people will be covering that stuff. I'm sure that I'm going to keep an eye out for it, and I'm going to look into actually getting the original game and play that myself.
I love that.
All right. So thank you for your time.
Thank you, Tim.
I hope you enjoyed the rest of Pax East.
Will do.
And, all right, nice day.
Enjoy.
Hello, my wolf pack. Welcome back to Command Wolf Gaming. I'm CWG, and welcome back to the end of day 3 of PAX East 2024. Technically, PAX East is already done. It has closed out Sunday, and I am posting this on Monday because I didn't have enough cell phone space to actually put it onto my cell phone and then incorporate it into a video and then post it. So I do apologize for that. So anyway, what happened on PAX Day 3? Well, I did multiple things. I actually played multiple games that I actually had a time slot for with the developers. And I've actually got my hands on one of the other games I wanted to play. And I checked out actually another game as well. So let's get right into it with the first game that I actually got around to playing that day, which was Altered Alma. I'm starting out with that game because the day before I said I wanted to try it, as well as some other games that I couldn't get around to, but I got to play Altered Alma. Now, Altered Alma is a side-scrolling RPG-like game, like Mega Man. I am going to compare this heavily to Mega Man because that's how it feels like. There is some dating sim simulator built in, but I more so would be playing it for the RPG aspect of the game. In fact, let me actually pull this up real quick so I can actually see the top. So anyway, it's a if we go by the tags that is on it in the Steam store, it's Metrovania Cyberpunk RPG in a dating sim. So they don't have an actual date for this yet, and they're still working on it. I think they have a Kickstarter for going. And again, this is kind of like a Mega Man style game. So there is a point of nostalgia in this game. One of the things I did like about this game is, yes, it's nostalgic, but it adds a different element to, again, a Mega Man style game. Where, if I'm not sure if you guys remember, but it was Mega Man Net Zero. I'm thinking Net Zero, or it's Zero, the character Zero from Mega Man, right? He uses sword a lot, and that's what this character does. She uses a sword a lot. However, she does have some distance weapons implemented in. I never really got far in Mega Man, so don't shoot me. Anyway, so in this game, you play as this girl, and basically, you need to, progress your way through this 2D environment. And your base weapon is a sword. You later actually get a adapted weapon, which is a knife, that allows you to teleport from point A to point B. You can actually use this to attack as well. I've actually used it to attack flying robots by throwing it at them, and you can actually recall it if you stuck it in a place and you didn't want it. You can actually recall it back to you. And I even got a ability to generate like a wave in front of me to destroy people or attack people. So I did get like a lot of different abilities, almost like right out of the gate, right in the beginning, which is actually kind of nice, because usually with Mega Man style games, you gotta wait until you beat a boss in order to get an ability. This one, you kind of like get it when you find those abilities around the map. So which really incites you to actually explore the map instead of trying to do a straight
path to the end, to the main objective. So I would say if you're a fan of Mega Man, to pick up this game. It's again side scroller, or take a look on Steam or back on Kickstarter. So I do recommend it. As soon as it comes out in beta format or something like that, I do want to kind of pick it up, and I do want to play it for you guys, so you guys actually see it. So, but for now, excellent game. I would actually give all points to that. Now, there is another game that I want to go over, but I'll save that to the end. And that's more specific to people who like to play RTS games. But let's go on to the second game. So the second game I actually managed to play on that day was Blackout Protocol. So Blackout Protocol is in a multiplayer format right now. But they are implementing single player mode. They are currently running a sale on it for 25% off because of PAX East. Now, what is Blackout Protocol? Blackout Protocol is a top-down zombie shooter. You basically enter an area and you use various weapons that you can pick up and items that you can pick up and attack these zombies. Obviously, it's not just you, but also another group that's diving in, and it's basically you're not on good terms. So you're basically attacking zombies and other humans. So they are looking to actually implement a single player mode for this game. So we were given the opportunity to try out the various characters that are available on the co-op mode and just play through the game. Now, if you're not familiar with Blackout Protocol is dedicated from a top-down shooter, but it also has a procedurally generated environment. Now, from my perspective, I actually like procedurally generated environments because it doesn't give you an advantage and it doesn't give you a disadvantage. It gives you a random environment to play in. Now, I really do like that, and one of the things that I do wish that they would implement, which especially with procedurally generated items, is that seeds. So a seed, if you guys don't know about it, like when you play a roguelike game, generally it generates a seed, right? And you use that seed and play it, and then you get to a certain point, then it generates a new code or a seed that you play on. So I think it was Path to Exile. I forget or something else, something tower. My buddy got me into, and what the game did, it provides you a seed that you can take it and you can give it to your friends. You can give it to other people to play and see how they do on the same run that you have. So I kind of wish that they would implement that aspect into the game, especially since you're going to be playing on a dedicated environment each and every time. So that procedure, I love the idea of procedurally generating a map. I know sometimes it's just like, well, we got all these layouts and then it just randomly selects it. Makes sense because that's how you're going to have to do it. So it's semi-procedurally generated, but still, it's a great idea, especially for something like this, is even when you're playing single player. So, what I like and what I didn't like about the environment, I actually had some issues trying to navigate around the environment sometimes, because of the elevation change on the map. It's a top down, so not all the time. It wasn't all the time where it was like plainly clear that I knew that, oh, okay, so this ramp is here and it's going up, or this ramp is there and it's going down. I didn't see it all the time. I kind of like had to walk around the edge of the map sometimes in order to find out where I was supposed to go, which actually leads me to the next point. Sometimes they had what is called marking, what I call marking. Basically, it tells the person, you got to go this way, right? And I'm not sure if this is in the base game. I never actually played this game. I'm coming in with like fresh eyes, just an outside perspective, trying the game and seeing how it goes. They had green stripes on the ground. Now, I'm sure that people who have played the co-op version of this game, right, are used to seeing the green stripes and like, oh yeah, that's where I'm supposed to go. Or yeah, I can interact with this item because of the green stripes. for me, my perspective, a lot of the games that I play actually has yellow striping because yellow is actually a very standoffish type of color, right? Usually yellow means like, hey, look, you can go this way. This is interactable. Red means that it explodes. Green means poison. It just kind of makes sense to have that color coding. But again, I guess it worked for the game if they wanted to keep it or they're going to continue keeping it. Just my perspective that they should have just changed that green striping to indicate that you got to go that way to a yellow stripe. Again, if people have played the game before and like the game, they're already trained to accept green means this direction. So, outside perspective, my idea. Anyway, going on to the various characters and stuff like that. Now, it does give you the sweep of characters that you would see in the co-op game. And what I didn't like in respect to playing the single player mode is that a lot of at least the ones characters that I tried, a lot of their abilities were based on group combat. For instance, I like to play as the medic because it was like, I'm playing by myself, might as well just have somebody that can heal myself, right? Her ability created basically a healing bubble around myself. And I was like, really? That doesn't make sense to have it implemented into the single player mode when it's just you by yourself. Now, if I was playing on the co-op mode, I would be all for it. It works. Group up, hit that heal, spread out, do what you gotta do. So really wish that they would tune that to, allow that the abilities to be more implemented in a solo fashion. Usually it's the other way around. They implement an item as a solo fashion, then they make it a group item. But this time around, it's the group item to a solo fashion. Now, on to the weapons. So we're given all the weapons at max tier, which is fine because we have to go and we got to try the game. Obviously, they want to kind of give us, the best that they can for us. But to me, my main thing is that I want to try the weapons before I enter the game. And I actually did talk to Dev about it in regards to that. And they said they were looking at patching in or putting in a shooting range, right? So you can understand what each item was doing. Because for one thing, I actually had a variety of weapons from physical damage to psychic damage. And so you got the normal stuff like the machine gun, the assault rifle, the submachine gun, the shotgun. You got those variety of weapons, as well as like a flamethrower, a minigun, grenade launcher. You got some weird weapon and a couple other things. So my thing is that like I was looking at the numbers. What's the base what's the damage and what's the range? That's what I was personally looking at. And I ended up choosing an AoE style weapon that was psi based damage, but it didn't look any different from a flamethrower. So I didn't know what was the difference that was going on. I had no idea. I saw 10 and 9. Right? 10 being the psi damage and 9 being the physical damage. So we're talking about this base weapon with an AoE ability, right? That does psychic damage. Then we're talking about a flamethrower with a base physical damage attack of 9. And the range is like 7 and 8. I don't have the exact numbers, but it's just I used the weapon that had the bigger number, the bigger range, the bigger damage. So it just, for me, if I was able to use those weapons in a tutorial style fashion at a shooting range or something and understood what each weapon did, how to use them before I walked into the map, that would have been perfect, especially for a game that has been out for a while. It's for co-op and everything, you would think they would have something already implemented so that if you're waiting for somebody to come into the group, you can be like, I'm just gonna go goof off here on the shooting range, but that's neither here nor there. That's their option to implement it. So, and honestly, that kind of brings me back to the character and their ability. Some of their abilities were more, were not only group, but they were also like damage based. A couple of them, and I really wish I had a target to use again for testing the character's abilities as well. So really a shooting range, or like a dummy, or like I even said, hey, look, why don't you just put a fence with a bunch of zombies behind it, so you can kind of get an idea of what is going on there, how it's what it's doing. That so that's another thing that kind of bothered me with it. But honestly, the game wasn't too bad. Other than those little things. Now, I keep saying this and I keep telling everyone, take this with a grain of salt, right? Because it might not be for me, but maybe it's fine for you. Maybe because there's obviously a huge amount of people playing this game, right? There's a ton of people playing this game and they like it how it is. And that is fine, But from somebody who's coming from outside, never playing that game, the game before, and playing the game and trying the game, and you're just kind of, it's at the point of like, hey, well, I think you should do this, It's like if we had somebody that played nothing but puzzle games, right? And they came and played a shooter game, right? They know nothing about it. I know a little about, shooter games, right? But from their outside perspective, they'll be like, okay, well, you should do this, do that, whatever, And that is to help implement new people into the game. My main thing is I want to try to help people get into the game to play, from just not knowing about that game altogether to actually enjoying the game. Obviously, there are sometimes learning curves and stuff like that. Makes total sense. But still, that's what I feel. So moving on to the next two games that I played. Well, the one I did an interview for, which was Outward 2, and the other one I didn't really do an interview for. Somebody was actually interviewing the developer, and that he actually took some notes from me, and I guess he was doing a blog, right? And I asked him if he could send some sound bites. I did not see them in my inbox yet, so when I see them, if I remember, I'll post them, or I'm going to just dump them into my Discord. But I can't make too much commentary about Outward 2 and Witherbloom because they were in pre-alpha. And here's the situation. When a game's in pre-alpha, it's going to be buggy as hell. It is just going to be buggy. Now, if the game was further along, like in the alpha, in the beta, in early access, I probably would nitpick more about it. But it's hard to do. And like during the interview, I really kind of like nitpicked at a couple of things for Outward 2, but I kind of wanted to point out these certain things and just I was trying to clarify it as, hey, look, this isn't pre-alpha. Obviously, these are the bugs, but you're going to fix it, or you're going to look into fixing it, So I think that's, here nor there. There's not much I can say about those two, because Outward 2 is actually going to be a continuation of the game Outward. So if you played Outward, the original game, this will be the continuation from there. So and actually, I bugged out I feel so bad. Every single game I played, I bugged it out somehow. Like with what was it called? Altered Alma. I actually got stuck in the ground a couple times, and the only way I could move is if I was dashing, and I had to like damage myself, kill myself, and then respawn. And then in Outward 2, literally went into like a area that I was supposed to go in, and then I couldn't do anything besides walk around. So again, that game was in pre-alpha. So, and this last game, Witherbloom. Okay, so Witherbloom, I actually kind of like the idea behind it. So Witherbloom is about you, a survivor, going and trying to survive after a gods who have played on your planet for generations now, right? They give you every single thing, answering prayers and such. They basically said, fuck off, and picked up and left, And so leaving your planet basically desolate, other than like maybe a few people that have survived or learned to survive. And basically, you got to build up your own campsite and stuff like that. I can see it as like another game that I play Ark, right? I play Ark Survival Evolved every once in a while, and I can see it kind of like that style game, which it kind of is, because once you go outside the protective barrier that you set up at your base camp, you start actually gaining damage from the environment, right? Because it's not safe for you as a person. But the way I ended up bugging out the game, since I bugged out the game, I wasn't able to really try every aspect of it, was that I did things out of order, and that caused the game to bug. Because I was supposed to go to sleep, and what I ended up doing is I went and opened up a chest and it started a fire, which caused the game to bug. So a little out of order stuff, but I learned from the developer while the other guy was interviewing him, is that the game has been in work for only 4 months before PAX East. So that was very ambitious to get, anything done for PAX East. And honestly, I kind of applaud him for that, because he got a lot of the art style done. He got a lot of the character movements done. And it seems like he's on the right path, right? But, again, 4 months isn't much time, and he was like, oh yeah, we were going to try to implement multiplayer. And I said, look, that would have been a terrible idea, because having like certain aspects of the multiplayer work with each other, across the screen is not a good idea. Because if you guys got to think about it, right? When you play a multiplayer style game, you got to make sure the same asset acts the same way in each iteration. So let's say I'm going to use Ark Survival Evolved in this scenario here. So in Ark, right, if you and your buddy are chopping down trees, if I chop down the tree before him, right, and the tree collapses, he's got to see that on his side as well. So you got to make sure that asset disappears at the same exact time, right? Or does the same exact thing relatively at the same time. So in 4 months, I think that would be a tall order to actually get that done, especially with his small team. He said he had a relatively small team for it. So, that was pretty much a good call on his part to not do that. So I do applaud him for that. So let's go actually into the last game that I've actually played, or not really played, but I watched, and I'm actually kind of excited for this one. So the last game that I actually played is called Sanctuary Shattered Sun. I know it's a mouthful, and I am currently clogged for whatever reason. But it's Sanctuary Shattered Sun. It's a RTS style game. Now, if nobody understands this, I love RTS games, real-time strategy games. I have Age of Mythology, I have Metal Fatigue, I had a game called Creatures Inc. I had multiple games that had like a building style game where you build structures, you produce troops, and you face off against enemies. And it's fun. For me, it's fun. Like I like to play Wargroove and Tiny Metal on my Steam Deck when I have the time. So it's very fun game. But anyway, what is Sanctuary Shattered Sun? Well, it's a massive RTS game. So this takes place in a Dyson sphere. Now, for those who don't know what a Dyson sphere is, it's basically a man-made structure that is on the outside habitable. Basically, it has greenery. It has like a environment where people can live and survive. So what stands this out is that, first of all, this is not just like small unit tactics. You know, it's not like, oh, we have a small army and we go attack another small army. I know not a lot of games are like that, right? I know a lot of RTS games are not like that. But this is about building huge vehicles in mass quantities. So it's going to probably be a processor and processor intensive. You know, it's going to take a lot to do it. In fact, you can kind of pull it up on Steam. It's by Unheartened Media, and it looks actually pretty fun. I really can't wait to play this game. Anyway, so what makes this game really stands out is not just the massive amount of vehicles you can have to attack each other, but also there is terrain effect. Now, what is terrain effect? You guys might know it better from Battlefield, right? When you blow up a building, what happens to the building? It gets destroyed. You know, there's pockmarks in the ground, bridges collapse, stuff like that. Well, that's what they did in this RTS game. They made terrain effects. So you can basically pockmark a battlefield with foxholes, or you can destroy the ground enough to actually cause the ground to collapse in. And that's actually something I saw in real time while I was at the booth. Unfortunately, I didn't get a second to actually play the game, but because it was actually quite a few people playing it. But that is actually a brilliant idea. Let's say you're at a pass, right? And you're trying to build up your army on one side and the enemy is coming towards you. You can decidedly be like, I'm not going to allow them to cross, and destroy the pass to prevent them from crossing, or kind of like booby trap it to where the enemies are starting to cross and you hit the terrain, causing it to collapse and enemies to kind of like sink into the ground, you know, disappear. It's a brilliant idea. As far as I couldn't remember, at least the games that I have played, I never heard of an RTS game that implemented a terrain effect inside the game. That would be the first time I heard of it. So I can't actually wait for this. I actually am following it, and I have wished it on Steam. So I'm probably going to follow this as much as I can, and I honestly can't wait for it to come out. It's on Kickstarter, so maybe I'll go back on Kickstarter. Anyway, so what else that happened? Well, that was pretty much it for day 3. I unfortunately I didn't see much more of what I wanted to do. It was, guys, you got to remember that PAX East, the convention, gets very, very busy. There is a lot of people going in and out, a lot of people doing various things, and it's hard to actually do things. And I'm going to go and answer questions as well as other stuff on a different video or stream in regards to PAX East and why I didn't do day 4. Because there's a good reason why on day 4. So, anywho, I hope you guys continue following me on this channel. I think it looks like the vlogs are kind of popular, so I might continue doing vlogs. If you guys want to see more vlogs, leave a note in the comment section. I want to hear from you guys. I am currently on Rumble, Odyssey, Twitch, YouTube, and Kick, as well as Twitter, so you guys can follow me on all those platforms. And obviously, not much more to say there. So anyway, I'll see you guys a little later. I'm planning on trying to stream today for a bit, or if not, do a recording. So anyway, I'll see you guys then. Bye bye.